Your English is good enough to have this conversation. Your brain just doesn't believe it yet. Today, we fix that. Gently, honestly, and permanently. Daily English Lab, the podcast where real conversations help you speak real English. Hey, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Lab. I'm Lily.
And I'm Henry. And today's episode is the one that most English learners actually need, even if it's not the one they think they're looking for.
We're not talking about grammar today. We're not talking about vocabulary lists or pronunciation rules.
We're talking about fear, the specific, real, physical experience of being scared to speak English.
Because most learners who struggle with speaking aren't struggling because their English is bad. They're struggling because something in their brain and body goes wrong the moment they try to use the English they already have. The freeze, the blank, the heart beating a little faster, the voice that comes out differently than planned.
All of that has a name, it has a cause, and it has a solution. Not a perfect solution, but a real one.
Today, we take the fear apart, piece by piece, so you can understand exactly why it happens. Because when you understand it, it starts to lose its power over you.
Let's get into it.
Henry, let's start with the thing that almost every learner experiences, but almost nobody explains properly: the freeze. That moment when someone asks you something in English and your mind just stops.
And the first thing most people think is, I'm not good enough. My English is too weak. I should have studied more.
Which is almost never the real reason.
Almost never. The real reason is that your brain is running multiple programs simultaneously, and the combination overloads the system.
Think about what's happening in that moment. Your brain is translating from your first language. It's searching for the right vocabulary, it's checking grammar, it's monitoring your pronunciation, it's reading the social situation. Who is this person? Do they seem impatient? Are they judging me?
And simultaneously, your emotional brain is scanning for threat. Is this safe? Could I embarrass myself here? What happens if I get this wrong?
All of that in less than 1 second.
Way more than one brain was designed to handle smoothly. So the system pauses, and we call that pause the freeze.
And here's what's important. The freeze isn't evidence that your English is bad. It's evidence that your brain is overloaded. Those are completely different problems with completely different solutions.
A grammar problem is solved by studying more grammar. An overload problem is solved by reducing the load.
Smaller steps, simpler sentences, fewer simultaneous jobs for the brain to do at once.
And most importantly, practice in lower stakes situations until the brain stops treating English conversation as a threat.
Let's talk about the physical side, because a lot of learners feel embarrassed about the physical symptoms: the heart beating faster, the slightly shaky voice, the hands that feel like they're not quite yours.
And they interpret those symptoms as evidence of weakness, or incompetence, or being particularly bad at languages.
When actually what they're experiencing is a completely normal, completely biological stress response that has nothing to do with their English ability.
Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a tiger and a potentially embarrassing social moment. Both activate the same physical preparation for danger.
The heart speeds up to pump blood to the muscles. The breath gets shallower. The mind narrows its focus to the immediate threat.
All of which is brilliant if you need to run from something. All of which is completely unhelpful if you're trying to remember the past perfect tense.
So, when learners experience physical symptoms during English speaking, you are not weak. You are not broken. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It just hasn't been taught yet that English conversation is safe. And the way you teach it that is not by telling yourself to be less scared. That never works. It never works. You teach it by giving it evidence, repeated, accumulated evidence that speaking English does not result in catastrophe. One small speaking success, then another, until the nervous system gradually updates its threat assessment and stops treating English conversation like an emergency. Henry, tell me about a moment when the fear genuinely won. When you froze and it didn't go well.
There's one I remember with painful clarity.
Good. The painful ones are usually the most useful.
I was in a work meeting, an important one, and someone asked me directly for my opinion on something, in front of everyone, and my brain just evacuated the building.
Complete blank.
Total absence. I had thoughts. I had genuine opinions about the topic. But the moment I tried to access them under that pressure, with everyone waiting and looking at me, it was like trying to remember a phone number while someone shouts at you.
The pressure collapsed the access.
Completely. And I said something vague and meaningless. And the moment passed, and I spent the rest of the meeting feeling terrible about it.
What did you learn?
I learned that preparing the content isn't enough. I had the English. I had the ideas. What I didn't have was practice speaking under social pressure. I had been studying without performing, building knowledge without building nerve.
Knowledge and nerve are different skills.
Completely different. And you can be very advanced in one while being a beginner in the other.
Now, tell me about a moment when the fear didn't win.
More recently, same kind of situation. Someone asked for my input in a group setting, and this time I used something I practiced.
What did you do?
I paused deliberately, just one breath, and I said, "That's a good question. Let me think for a second." That one sentence did everything. It bought me time, it made me sound considered rather than frozen, and it lowered the pressure just enough for me to actually access my thoughts.
One sentence changed the whole moment.
Completely. Not because my English suddenly got better, but because I had a tool ready, and having the tool stopped the panic, and stopping the panic let me think.
Lily, tell me about your experience with speaking fear. It's different from mine, I think.
Very different. My issue was, and sometimes still is, a hyper-awareness of my own voice. When I speak English in situations that feel observed, I become acutely conscious of every word as I'm saying it, every pause, every tiny hesitation.
The internal monitor running at maximum volume?
Exactly. And the more I monitor, the worse my speaking becomes. Because fluent speech requires a certain amount of unconscious processing. When everything becomes conscious and deliberate, it gets clunky.
You start tripping over things that normally happen automatically.
It's like suddenly becoming aware that you're walking. You know that feeling? When someone mentions how you walk and suddenly you can't remember how to do it naturally?
Speaking fear is sometimes exactly that. Awareness collapsing a previously automatic process.
What helped me was something very counterintuitive. Instead of trying to think less about my speaking, which never works because you can't unthink a thought, I shifted my focus outward, onto the other person, onto what they were saying, onto understanding them rather than monitoring myself.
The attention moved from inward to outward.
And when the attention is genuinely on the other person, the internal monitor quiets down on its own. Not because you told it to, because there's simply less bandwidth available for self-monitoring when you're genuinely listening.
Curiosity as a cure for self-consciousness.
The best cure I've found. Getting genuinely interested in what the other person is saying pulls you out of your own head more effectively than any amount of telling yourself to be less scared.
Dear learner, maybe Henry's story sounds familiar. The blank mind under pressure. The knowledge that was there until you needed it.
Or maybe Lily's experience is more familiar. The self-conscious loop, where the more you monitor yourself, the worse it gets.
Or maybe you have your own version. The fear that comes before speaking, not during. The anticipation of embarrassment before anything has even happened.
All of these are real. All of these are common. And none of them mean your English is too weak to speak.
They mean you haven't yet built enough evidence that speaking is safe. And today, we're giving you the tools to start collecting that evidence.
Let's get practical. Real tools. Not believe in yourself advice. Actual techniques that change something in the moment.
Tool 1. The deliberate pause. When someone asks you something and the panic begins, don't try to answer immediately. Pause deliberately and use a bridge phrase.
That's a good question.
Let me think for a second.
Good point. Give me a moment.
I want to make sure I answer that properly.
These phrases do two things simultaneously. They buy your brain the time it needs to actually access its knowledge, and they signal to the other person that you're thoughtful rather than lost.
Tool 2. Speak in small chunks, rather than trying to construct one perfect long sentence.
A lot of learners try to build the complete sentence in their head before they speak, and while they're building it, the pressure builds too. And by the time they're ready to speak, the panic is so high that the sentence collapses.
Instead, say one short piece. Pause. Then say the next piece. Short sentences are easier to finish, and finishing a sentence is itself a small win that reduces anxiety for the next one.
Tool 4. Use repair phrases freely and without shame.
Let me say that a different way. What I mean is, sorry, let me try again.
These phrases exist in every professional setting. Native speakers use them constantly. Using them doesn't signal that your English is weak. It signals that you care about communicating clearly.
Tool 4. Ask a question when you need time or clarity.
Can you say more about that? What do you mean exactly? Can you give me an example?
A question buys you time. It gives your nervous system a moment to settle, and it makes the other person feel heard and valued, which is actually excellent communication, not a weakness.
Tool 5. Lower the stakes of your first speaking attempt each day.
Not your first speaking moment of the day in a high-pressure situation. Your first moment with something small and easy.
One voice note to yourself. One comment written in English. One question asked in a lower stakes situation. You're teaching your nervous system what it can handle before you ask it to handle something bigger. Warm up before the performance. Athletes do it. Musicians do it. English speakers who speak confidently have almost all done it.
Let's talk about the language around this experience, because having the words for what you're feeling is itself a form of power over it.
When you can name something precisely, it becomes something you can see from the outside, rather than something that's happening to you from the inside.
I feel self-conscious, too aware of yourself, your voice, your mistakes, in a way that makes you uncomfortable.
I anticipate embarrassment. You expect something uncomfortable before it has even happened. Your brain is already reacting to a future moment as if it were present.
I'm stumbling over my words. The words are coming out unevenly, with small mistakes or pauses, not smoothly.
I'm going to repair this. I'm going to correct or improve what I said. Keep the conversation moving, not give up because something went imperfectly.
And most importantly, I'm staying in the conversation. Not performing perfectly, not speaking without any fear, just staying present, continuing, not retreating into silence.
Because silence might feel safe in the moment. No mistake made today, no embarrassment today.
But silence teaches your brain that speaking is too dangerous, that the best response to fear is avoidance. And avoidance makes the fear bigger, not smaller.
Staying in the conversation, imperfectly, nervously, with shaky voice and repair phrases and deliberate pauses. That's what builds speaking confidence.
Not bravery, not talent, not a sudden improvement in your English level, just the accumulated evidence of surviving conversations.
One conversation at a time.
Let's take today's most important words into the word tour.
Our first word is self-conscious. 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 It means too aware of yourself, your voice, your accent, your mistakes, in a way that makes speaking feel uncomfortable. You could say, I feel self-conscious when I speak English in meetings. Or, the more self-conscious I became, the harder it was to speak naturally.
Our next word is anticipate. 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 It means to expect something before it happens, often used when you're mentally preparing for something difficult. You could say, I was anticipating embarrassment before the conversation even started. Or, don't anticipate failure. Give yourself a chance to actually try.
Our next phrase is stumble over words. Stumble over words. Stumble over words. It means your words come out unevenly, with small pauses, slips, or mistakes, not smoothly. You could say, I stumbled over my words in the presentation, but I kept going. Or, even fluent speakers stumble over words when the pressure is high.
Our next phrase is repair phrase. Repair phrase. Repair phrase. Repair phrase. A repair phrase is a short sentence that helps you continue a conversation after something went wrong, when you forgot a word, made a mistake, or lost your place. You could say, let me say that a different way. Or, sorry, let me try again.
Our last phrase is staying in the conversation. Staying in the conversation. Staying in the conversation. It means continuing to communicate even when it's difficult, not retreating into silence when fear appears. You could say, my goal isn't perfect English. It's staying in the conversation. Or, even when I stumbled, I focused on staying in the conversation.
5 phrases: self-conscious, anticipate, stumble over words, repair phrase, and staying in the conversation. 5 phrases that give you language for the experience of fear and the tools to work through it. Now it's time to use your English right here. This is Speak with Lily. Say your lines out loud, even if your voice shakes a little, especially if your voice shakes a little.
Let's talk about speaking fear. Describe your experience. When does English feel most scary for you? In meetings, with strangers, on the phone, somewhere else?
Good. Now tell me, when you feel that fear, what does your body do? Heart, breathing, voice, hands. Use one sentence for each.
Now tell me, have you ever stayed in a conversation despite the fear? What happened?
Now practice one bridge phrase. Say this out loud. That's a good question. Let me think for a second.
Say it again. Slower this time. Like you mean it.
And one repair phrase. Say this. Let me say that a different way.
One more time. Calm and clear.
You just practiced the 2 most useful tools from today's episode. They're yours now.
Use them this week.
So, dear learner, your English is not too weak to speak. Your brain just hasn't been given enough evidence yet that speaking is safe.
And every conversation you stay in, even when it's imperfect, even when you stumble, even when the fear is present, is one more piece of evidence.
Deliberate pause, small chunks, repair phrases, questions when you need time, and keeping your focus outward rather than inward.
Those 5 tools won't make the fear disappear, but they will make the fear workable. And workable is all you need. Because you don't need to feel brave to speak English. You just need to speak. One sentence at a time. One conversation at a time. One small piece of evidence at a time. Take care of your English. And take care of your courage. It's bigger than you think.
This is Henry.
This is Lily.
And you've been listening to Daily English Lab.
Bye for now.